want to say a couple of things about President Trump has done, and those two clips together. He is, in a way that, kind of amuses his supporters and just, causes those who are not the Donald Trump, the Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, and just the people who spend all day long trying to attack him. The manner of his speech where he repeats things. I sometimes actually play like we just listened to a moment ago, play the repeat things, because I think it's become entertaining and almost kind of soothing to people. President Trump understands that the American people, the country, the economy has to move forward. People want to work again. They don't want to be, as many leftists are kind of enjoying watching happen. The American population has become weakened, has become kind of helplessly dependent. We have this notion of a centralized government taking care of us. These steps that we're doing right now, these help the socialist agenda in this country. You cannot miss that point. Every step we're doing in this country that helps, that has us, frozen in place at home, depending on the government sending us checks to survive. These are steps along the path to changing on a broad scale in this country, changing the mindset of the people from being a people rooted in freedom and self-reliance and determination and hard work to a people who are just waiting for the government to take care of them. So I want to say a couple of things. On the extension of the social distancing through April 30th, that is now a Washington, D.C. guideline. America needs to extend the deadline for social distancing. So everyone understands all the things you're supposed to be doing. Social distancing and not shaking hands and washing your hands, all the things, and keeping everything super, super clean. That we're going to continue those special practices through at least April 30th. But as you heard President Trump allude to, and I want to make this my point, it does not mean we have to all agree to stay home through April 30th. It does not mean every city council member, county authority, state, governor of every state has to keep in place the extreme shutdown rules that are governing in many jurisdictions in our country. We are capable as Americans of going back to work. President Trump was hopeful by Easter. I was hopeful by Easter. I'm still a little bit hopeful by Easter that you're going to have more people in authority, like our governors, our mayors, and our county officials, saying, "Look, our numbers are dropping down or leveling off, or we're doing more and more testing. We're realizing that most of the population's fine." And I'll tell you what, in Texas, our numbers, we continue to be rapidly testing in Texas, and over 90% of people tested do not have coronavirus, and they're only testing people who meet criteria where they might have coronavirus. So we're doing testing. We're getting to a place in this country where we're getting more and more data to understand where we are, who's been exposed. And we are recognizing still that even among those who have been exposed, who have been infected with the coronavirus, 80% of them basically have no symptoms. They just, or they get over that. 80% are just, they're fine, or they may feel like they have a bad cold or a flu, but they're walking around asymptomatic, and 80% of people get through this without any serious problem. We have a very tiny percent of those people who've contracted coronavirus, who very sadly are passing away from that disease. We want to stop the virus. We want to get it under control. We want people following all the standards that have been set in place in terms of how to engage in social distancing and not handshaking and doing your hand washing, all those things. But we can do those things as a responsible society. At the same time, we work toward getting America working again. The longer America is out of work, the better and better the Democrats' chances are of winning in the fall. The longer Americans stay out of work, the longer the mentality sinks into people that we're afraid to go out. We can't go out. We just sit home. We wait for the government to send us a check, and we never do anything. The longer that becomes the norm in America, the more dangerous it is to us. And there are literally, folks, millions and millions and millions of Americans who want to go back to work, who are ready, who would like to go back. We can still honor all of the rules, but get back to work. Open businesses again, open restaurants again, let the restaurants and businesses engage in the social distancing and the protections. I'm not saying we're ready for that today. I am saying that we have to have more of a mindset in this country that we're ready to move back to work, because the not working, the staying home, the growing normalization of centralized power in Washington, sitting at home, waiting for a paycheck, getting paid more by the government than you get paid in your job you used to have. These are unhealthy things for the entire American culture. And I'll tell you a couple of things along those lines. There was just eye rolling and angry disdain when several people, including Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick of Texas, raised the idea that we've got to get back to work, and kind of eye rolling disdain about the idea that we can't go back to work until the virus is gone. We can't. No one can be out. Everyone has to stay home. How could you care more about the economy and money than you do about grandma in the nursing home? But that's not what the people who are advocating we have to get back to work are saying. They're not saying grandma doesn't matter. They're saying we're smart enough people. We can protect the vulnerable. We can protect people in nursing homes and other people who, for whatever reason, have a vulnerability, a susceptibility to coronavirus. We can protect them. But we can at the same time decide we are going to have a determination to return America to the self-reliant working country that it has always meant to be. President Trump alluded to that in those brief remarks we played a moment ago, where he was saying, this is not what America is about. It's not who we are. We like to work. We go to work. So I want to mention along those lines. One is that the American Enterprise Institute, a Washington-based think tank, a conservative think tank, although they've gotten a little, they've changed over the last years. But in any case, the American Enterprise Institute has out I didn't even bother downloading, it was so lengthy, but a lengthy, detailed proposal for how America can get back to work. I'm telling you about it today because I want you to know that people who are thoughtful, who love America, who love this country, who love people who are good, noble, thinking people, are realizing we have to get back to work. We have to somehow reopen America. We can't stay shut down for months and months and months, as some people on the left are envisioning. We have to have some more faith in the American people, that people can go back to work and engage in social distancing and engage in the kind of practices we're all following. So the American Enterprise Institute has a very detailed plan that weaves into it considerations about what level of infection in your community, what level, how are you trending in your community? Are you trending up in terms of more cases, or are you trending down? We've had it under control. How are we doing in terms of testing in your community? So it has defining communities doing well statistically, and it has programs to say we've got to, who's logical to bring back to work first. The point is, really thoughtful, kind-hearted, generous people are realizing we have to get the country working. It's not because we're greedy. It's not because we're driven by money and the almighty dollar. It is because people who think about these things deeply recognize what it means to go be working, what it means to have a good economy, is human comfort, is human life. It is a recognition that we need to have a country that eventually comes back to manufacturing our own goods, that has jobs, so you have places to go and work, so you have items to buy at the grocery store, so you have items so you can carry on your life, that we cannot let a horrific virus, which was and is horrific, you can't let that virus end America. And if you continue on the path, many people, such as the mayor of Los Angeles, saying he may continue the shutdown order in Los Angeles for at least to the end of May, the economy will be shot. The economy is not something like, I think that some people who don't think in economic terms very often, they think of it, my analogy I thought up this morning, was like a carton of ice cream that's frozen. And so you're worried about the ice cream, so you stick it in the freezer, and it sits in the freezer, and the ice cream is the economy. You just stick it in there, ignore it, deal with the rest of life, and deal with the virus and deal with all of getting all of the testing done that needs to be done, and all of the vaccines developed we need to have developed, and all of the medication out, and the chloroquine available, and all of the practices that you only deal with a virus, and that's all we'll think about for months and months, and then months later we'll pull that ice cream back out of the freezer and eat it then. And then the ice cream being the economy, that the economy will just be there. We just snap our fingers and there it is. We all have it back. The economy is not like that. And this is why I want to keep talking about the idea you can be a loving, thoughtful, caring person and recognize we have to care about the American economy. We have to care about whether we get people back to work, whether and how we get them back to work. We have to care about that. We can't decide as the American people that we're just not going to care about it. And somehow or other, that when we pull the ice cream carton back out of the freezer months later, it'll still be fine. The economy takes time to get revved up, to get all the connected pieces back together, to get the workers back who have them. I mean, all of the connected pieces of our economy are what make our economy. It's not a frozen thing. It's not just a physical thing. It's a bunch of interrelated people and industry and jobs and connections, and they've all been frozen in place. And to rev it back up is going to take a commitment. It's going to take people recognizing that getting the economy moving again, getting people working again, is about making human comfort. I'll tell you one last quick thing. There was one county in Tennessee last week where there were more suicides than there were deaths from the coronavirus. And I'm telling you that the impact of the depression, the sense of helplessness, the sense of no way out of this, the sense of shut in, is not because you have cabin fever and you really, really want to go outside. And it's not because you're just dying to go do some frivolous, silly errands like go to the mall shopping and buy some new shoes. It's not like that. It's about the idea that we want to have a sense of purpose and mission and activity. That's what the economy is. And if we don't have that for months on end, if there's no hope in sight, no future plan in sight, we will actually have a problem in America with people becoming depressed, people feeling hopeless, people looking at their lifelong plan to retire. They were going to retire this year or next year, and their entire retirement savings are depleted. They're gone. They have no way to bring it back. That idea of depression and helplessness, we will lose American lives, is not a frivolous consideration. It's that if you really care about people, it's a real people consideration. Bringing jobs back is bringing the economy back, is bringing life back to our lives, and goods and services and activity, and all of that our economy has produced in all its precious, prosperous American history.